Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and it's the 23rd of October, 2024. Alright everyone, let's get into it. Sorry for missing the last couple of days of episodes. Just didn't get around to doing one. So I feel like I said that I wanted to stick to the Monday, Wednesday, Friday cadence going forward, but I feel like, I don't know, it's becoming more like just random. Like whenever I get a chance to do an episode is when an episode happens, especially if I'm kind of, I guess, motivated to talk about something in particular, or I've seen something in particular that definitely needs to be kind of talked about rather than doing an episode on like a regular, rather than doing episodes on a regular cadence. So we'll see how we go as time goes on here. But yeah, I'm still going to try and stick to like the Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing. But you know, sometimes I'll go out with friends on like a Wednesday night and then I won't have time to do the refuel or something like that, right? So those things tend to happen. So it may come out Tuesday, it may come out Thursday instead of Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, but I will try to keep doing as many episodes as I can, of course. But anyway, with that housekeeping out of the way, first off today is a tweet from Hunter Horsley, who is the CEO of Bitwise, who, as you guys know, are one of the ETF issuers for ETH and also for BTC. Now, Hunter quote tweeted Nate Jersey here, who was talking about the BTC and ETH ETFs just in general and all the money that they've taken in this year. And Hunter basically quote tweeted this with a quote where he said, why didn't the Ethereum ETFs do better? And that was basically a question. And this is a question he got at an event last week. And he basically put together a few comments here regarding this question. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because, as you'll hear from, I guess, like the answers that Hunter gives here, they're very similar to the ones that I've given on the refuel over the last few months. So it's good to get this, you know, straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. But the first reason he gives is that it was summer. For many investors, summer is a slow period. You monitor, but don't take on a lot of new projects. And I mean, the ETH ETFs launched right smack bang in the middle of summer, right in June. So yeah, it was a bad time to launch for the ETH ETFs. And that's one reason. And the second reason is the market. Bull markets always draw focus. The Bitcoin ETFs launched amid a rising Bitcoin. Ether ETFs launched in a sideways market. Again, I brought this up months ago at this stage where I said that the ETH ETFs essentially launched at the, I guess, like bottom of the market, so to speak, during that. Maybe not the exact bottom, but like during that kind of downward movement we had from March, you know, that downtrend we had from March, whereas the Bitcoin ETFs launched in January, which was right smack bang in the middle of that massive kind of upswing we were having there, or massive uptrend we were having there. And then the third reason Hunter gives was, you know, right after the Bitcoin ETFs, many traditional investors, some time has been and continues to be needed to figure out how to incorporate Bitcoin after the launch of the ETFs. Ethereum arriving before that was solved made it hard to turn attention to it. So essentially, they were just getting their feet warm with the Bitcoin ETFs, and then they had to go and learn about the ETH ETFs. So, as I've said before, like this is a long-term thing. It's going to take them a while to learn about Ethereum, learn about ETH. And I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, where essentially a lot of these, I guess, like TradFi folks have never even heard of Ethereum, which might seem insane to us. It seems insane to me, considering how much Ethereum has been in the news since 2017, right? Like Ethereum really, I guess, went into mainstream prominence with the ICOs. But the fact that a lot of these folks haven't even heard of Ethereum is quite insane. But the good news is that once they learn about Ethereum, they tend to warm up to it very quickly and see the value prop. Now, of course, that doesn't mean they're going to allocate to ETH straight away or anything like that, but that's what we need to do. We need to keep educating here. But of course, if they're just getting their feet wet with Bitcoin, if they're just learning about Bitcoin, which seems insane as well considering how big Bitcoin is, but if they're just learning about that, what its value prop is, how it works, then for them to go ahead and learn about Ethereum, it's going to take some time. So, and by time here, I mean like years. I'm not talking about weeks or months. I mean years here, guys. So that's why I've always said, and I've maintained this since like basically we started talking about ETFs in this industry again, is that the ETFs are a long-term vehicle. They are not a short-term thing. Looking at the day-to-day flows is useless. I mean, I'll give you an example of this. Over the last, week, the BTC ETFs have had some pretty monster inflows, actually. If I go to the website here, far side, and I'll bring this up for you guys to see. So if you look at the BTC ETFs, they've had some pretty monster flows. I mean, like what? Almost a couple of billion since the 11th of October. That's a pretty big deal. The BTC price has gone up, of course, to mirror that, or I guess like to follow those inflows there. But at the same time, right, like you can look at these just random outflow days. You can see here that yesterday, the 22nd of October, ARK's Bitcoin ETF had $134 million worth of outflows, right? Whereas it took in, you know, I guess like if you calculated here, about 400 million from the 11th of October to the 18th of October, and then it just randomly has $130 million $100 outflow day. That's why I said like day to day, week to week, there's not really any signal here. It's more of people kind of like trading. It's more of people playing like a basis trade. It's more people doing like complex strategies. Or, I mean, there is definitely some kind of like funny business going on in terms of buying in at a certain time and then selling in order to like tax loss harvest potentially. But yeah, I mean, as I said, like looking day to day, week to week is not the thing that you should be looking at. Obviously, the uptrend is the thing that you should be looking at. And I guess, like, sorry, I should say the trend of where the ETFs are going. And obviously, the BTC ETFs have been up only. The ETFs have been a lot slower. Still relatively good, but also still, I guess, like net outflow of 476 million since launch because of the Grayscale ETH outflows, but that's slowly getting chipped away, and eventually that will turn positive, and eventually we'll see, I truly believe we'll see more money come into ETH as TradFi learns more about it, understands it more, just like it has with the BTC ETF. So I'm not too concerned about that, but obviously in crypto land, on crypto Twitter and other places that you look at, they're very sensitive to day-to-day movements of things. You know, it's kind of hilarious when you actually go into the trenches of what these people are looking at. They're literally so sensitive that they'll be like hyper bullish and have a whole thesis about some like new meme coin one week, and then the next week they've completely stopped talking about that one and moved on to something else. It almost makes you think, and I mean, I'm pretty sure this is correct, but it makes you think that like a lot of this is just completely fake, right? It's like a lot of bots pumping up certain narratives in order to get into something and then sell it, and then that thing just bleeds out. Like it doesn't feel organic, right? If you actually dive deep into these things, because it really isn't. Like I truly don't believe that that there's many humans to the bot ratio. I think there's like 100 bots to one human sort of thing. If we're doing like a naive thing there, so like that, those kinds of people, the people that are like literally locked in every day, just like chasing this stuff, they're not interested in this, right? As much as they it's kind of funny how much of the sentiment or the negative sentiment is lobbied at ETH, saying, you know, ETH's a shitcoin, I don't want to buy ETH, I'm going to go buy meme coins. The same applies to BTC. These people buying meme coins are not buying BTC either. They're not interested in that because they're not interested in slow and steady, I guess, like price rises. What they want, or what they're trying to chase, is a lottery win, essentially. So this sort of stuff, I mean, it's narrative. It's kind of like silly when you dive deep into it, and it's stuff that as long-term investors, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are, and you basically, on some level, are in this for the tech. Don't think you'd be listening to the Daily Gwei if you didn't care about the tech. It's just kind of useless for us to be paying attention to that. But I am going to talk a bit more about that at the end of the episode. There were a few thoughts I wanted to give around just sentiment generally there. But that's enough on the ETFs. Moving on to something that I wanted to talk about, which was this new device from the ETHOS team here. So a lot of you have seen this device already. It's called the dGEN1. Now, this is not a new crypto phone. As you guys know, I have been incredibly bearish on crypto phones since obviously Solana popularized it by doing the Solana phone. But even before that, there were like crypto phones, Ethereum phones, and the ETHOS team actually did do an Ethereum phone, and I have it. But the reason why I'm bearish on them is not because they're like shitty devices or anything like that, but because I don't think anyone's going to replace their everyday driver phone with a crypto phone, like whatever that means. I mean, you can kind of like stretch the definition of what a crypto phone is, but I don't think anyone's going to replace their daily driver. A lot of the time, this thing just has like a custom OS. In Ethereum phone's case, or ETHOS's case, it's a custom OS on a phone where you can still download other apps. It's running Android, so you can download apps off the Play Store and things like that. But really, I mean, the vast majority, 99.99% of people, even more than that, are never going to do that. They're never going to buy this thing and replace their daily driver. I mean, I personally use an iPhone. I'm not going to replace my iPhone with a crypto phone. Like, I don't need to. I don't see any need for that. But then the ETHOS team came out with this new device called the dGEN1. Now, this device is not a phone, but it can act like a phone. You can install like a phone app on it. You can install other apps on it because it is running a modified version of Android here, but it doesn't really look like a phone. Like, look, you can see the form factor in the little video teaser here. It's like half the size of a smartphone. It's got like a different design at the bottom here where it kind of like edges in. It reminds me of the old HTC Legend, I think it was, phone. It's one of my first smartphones back in the day. It's got a camera, of course. For scanning QR codes and stuff, you obviously need that. Fingerprint reader on the back, it looks like. A grip, and it's got like a laser as well for some reason. I thought that was just like a memey thing they did there. But the cool thing about this is, as I said, it's not a phone. It's supposed to be a everyday carry item. It's supposed to complement your existing set of like tech essentials, if you will. Now, they did tweet out what was actually coming with the device. They didn't tweet out specs or anything like that, which has kind of had people going, you know, why? Like, there's not much information about this. Why am I buying this? I think it's definitely not cheap to buy this thing, but I bought one for the culture, really, because I just like seeing things, new experiments be done within crypto, especially when it comes to hardware, when it makes sense. Like, I don't necessarily think it makes sense with crypto phones. I'm very bearish on crypto phones, but as I said, like, I am much more bullish on stuff like this because of the fact that it complements your existing devices rather than trying to replace it. Because there is no way, as I said, that I'm going to replace my iPhone with a crypto phone. It's just not going to happen. It makes no sense for me to do that. And even if I was on Android, I wouldn't replace my existing Android phone, whatever that is, with a crypto phone here. And there's this tweet here that basically describes what this device actually has or what it comes with. So it has a system level wallet. Of course, you want a wallet on this device. Like, I mean, without a wallet, it's completely useless. It has an eSIM and a physical SIM. So as I said, you can use it as a phone, but obviously having a SIM also allows everything else, not just a phone, right? Using it as a proper mobile device. You can browse with it. It has a laser, as I mentioned, which again is just a fun little thing. I mean, I don't know what else you would be doing with a laser on this thing other than having a bit of fun with it. Maybe if you've got a cat, you can tease it with it. You can make a call with it, as I said, if you install the phone app. It has 2 light node proxies on it. That's where things start getting a bit interesting for me, is that light nodes really are the end game of verification of blockchains. Where essentially, what a light node allows you to do, or I guess like what a light client allows you to do, is essentially verify the chain like you would if you ran a normal full node without having to download the whole chain. Now, this is one of Ethereum's end game kind of goals here, is to allow for that to happen. It can't happen today without basically trusting another node. So essentially what you can do is you can check another node and essentially check that it's correct and serving you up the, correct chain, and you verify that against your light nodes here. But the end game is to essentially be able to do it without having to trust and be able to do it trustlessly. And that's obviously what we're trying to build in crypto, right? As I said, it has a camera and you can mint NFTs from images on it, which is really cool. And they said the total specs are coming soon. I don't expect this to be the most powerful device in the world. As I said, this seems like a very kind of like fun experimental thing here. But as I said as well, I am more bullish on something like this than a phone because of the fact that it doesn't replace my phone, it complements it. Will I use this, as my everyday carry? Will I carry this around with me all the time? I'm not sure. As I said, I ordered one. I'll get once I get it, I'll see how I kind of go with it. But still, something interesting, something more interesting than what we've seen in the past. And people asked me, I guess, in the Discord channels, like, exactly what was it? And hopefully I've given you some more kind of context around what it is. But I guess the closest comparison here is a hardware wallet, really. And maybe not like a Ledger, like one of the Ledger kind of like Bluetooth devices. Sorry, not the Bluetooth device, the little Ledger Nano, that's what it's called. But more so something like the Ledger Stacks or the new one that they kind of brought out there, the one with the screen on it. It's probably closer to something like that, except I don't know if it has a secure enclave on it, so I'm not going to say it's a hardware wallet, because to be a hardware wallet, it would have to have a secure enclave on it so that you cannot access the private key no matter what. I mean, maybe if you had physical access to the device, you could, but that's like the defining feature of a hardware wallet, so I don't know if it has that. And obviously Grid Plus has the screen as well. On their devices there, but essentially that's kind of, I guess, like the best example I can kind of give of what it's like. But at the same time, it's a hybrid of like a crypto phone and a hardware wallet here, where it has all the wallet functionality, it has all the good stuff like that, but it also can act as a proper mobile device. You can put a phone app on it if you want, or you could leave that off it. You don't have to use it as a phone. As I said, it doesn't have to replace your everyday driver. It complements it. So I'm looking forward to it. And I know that was a long shill about it. I'm not being paid to shill this or anything like that. As I said, I purchased one on my own, so just a disclosure there, but I haven't actually received it yet, so I'm just speculating on everything here. But I felt like it was worth covering this because I have been bearish on these devices in the past, and people were wondering what made me, I think I said in my tweet, cautiously optimistic about this. I didn't say I was bullish on it. I said something that I could cautiously get behind, because again, I don't know how I'm going to treat this device, and it is the first version of it. I don't know what future versions are going to look like, so we're going to have to see how this shakes out there. All right, moving on to some core dev related news. So Christine Kim here has a new report all about Ethereum's upcoming upgrades and catalysts. So in this report, she dives into Pectra, Fusaka, and the impacts these upgrades could have on ETH stakeholders. So as you guys know, Pectra is the next upgrade that's coming to Ethereum. Christine here has her estimated timeline at around March or April for mainnet activation, more so April. I remember I've been saying Q1 or like late Q1 in March. That could easily push into April, so it seems like Christine and I are aligned here on timelines, but she has a really nice graphic here kind of showing the step-by-step process of what we're in and where we've come from September to April, essentially what's happening with devnets, testnets, finalizing scopes and all that good stuff there, the usual stuff we see in Ethereum upgrades. And then of course she also dove into Fusaka, which is the upgrade that's coming after Pectra here, which includes a bunch of the EIPs that were bumped from Pectra, such as PeerDAS. And this is just a great overview of everything happening. I mean, honestly, you should go give this whole report a full read for yourself, because it has basically a complete overview of Pectra, the EIPs that are included, what they do, and she also has a tweet here where she kind of like relates it back to catalysts for ETH's value. Now, of course, as you guys know, nothing coming in Pectra really directly impacts ETH's value in terms of trying to drive more value to it or anything like that. And honestly, going forward, I don't imagine there being like any EIPs that would necessarily do that unless we did like an issuance change, like lowering the issuance, which was discussed a few months back, but everyone in the community is pretty against that right now, so I don't know if that's going to change in the future. I'm still kind of, I guess, neutral about that. Like, I don't really see the pros just yet, because I haven't seen the latest iterations of it. I'm sure they're coming, but and I don't really, I mean, I see, so I should say I see the pros and I see the cons. That's why I'm kind of neutral, but yeah, I haven't really made my mind up on that. But in terms of like what's coming in Pectra with like blob count increases and stuff like that, and then PeerDAS later on, it's not going to directly impact ETH's value. It's not going to drive more value to ETH there. It's kind of outside of the scope, and that's fine. I mean, when I say direct impact, that kind of like means something that is like basically measurable, but there is lots of indirect impact, such as scaling blobs scales L2s more. L2s get more users onboarded, more users using ETH. Obviously, I believe ETH is a money and a store of value, and the more people that hold it and buy it and use it, the more ETH will go up in value. So that's the kind of like indirect value driver there. But yeah, anyway, you should definitely go give Christine's report a read. It is very comprehensive. It covers basically everything you'll need to know, and I had a really great time reading it, because I actually learned a few things from it as well. I haven't been following Pectra as closely as I would have liked over the last couple of months, obviously because I was traveling for 2 months there, but I am trying to get back into the swing of things, and Christine's writing, tweeting, everything that she does has been a big help there. And she's also got a podcast, by the way. I'm sure you guys are aware of this by now, called The Infinite Jungle, where she talks to a bunch of people in the Ethereum community as well as covering these sorts of stuff in podcast format, which you should go check out. I'm sure you can find the link on her profile there. Now, speaking of blobs, an interesting thing happened over the last 24 hours when it comes to blobs, thanks to the Scroll airdrop. So Scroll airdropped its token to its community, and of course, they did it on their network where everyone had to go claim the airdrop, and that basically, I guess, like skyrocketed Scroll's TPS and Scroll's usage, and that meant that more blobs were being used, and we went into blob price discovery for a little bit of time. It wasn't very long. I believe it only lasted less than 24 hours here, but you can see there was a chart shared by Data Always looking at the blob market going into price discovery here, and then I believe they actually ended up sharing another chart of it coming back down. Yeah, you can see here what this looks like going from around 7 a.m. to I'm just eyeing it like 12 a.m. or something like that. So as I said, less than 24 hours. It kind of did like the meme coin life cycle of like rocketing up and then dumping back down, right? But essentially what Data Always was pointing out was that it took about 3 hours of increased blob demand to surpass the EIP 7762 target, about 30 minutes after that to start to find price stability. So essentially, there's been a lot of discussion around how long it takes Ethereum blobs to enter sustained price discovery and start, I guess, like surpassing the, start going into price discovery where blobs are no longer free. And there is an EIP called EIP 7762 that wants to essentially create a target for this, and basically means that the blobs go into price discovery sooner than they do today. And that's what Data Always is measuring here. So, and then they concluded by saying, with how mature the blob market is and the changes in the supply chain over the past few months, they don't know if 7762 is all that valuable anymore. When an exogenous shock barely disrupts the market for a few hours, it's probably overtuning to push for 7762. I don't know if we have enough data to make that conclusion yet, but like I kind of err on that side as well. You know, everyone goes on about blobs not being saturated as like this, I don't know, potential like cold start problem, or this thing that's potentially bearish for Ethereum and that we need to tune and we need to change. I'm all for changing the blob fee market to be more efficient and just like react to things in a better way. But at the same time, it just comes back to like the fundamental principles of supply and demand. There is too much supply, right? There is more supply of blobs than there is demand for it right now. So until that demand exceeds that supply, we're not going to see sustained kind of price discovery here. And I talked about this the other day on the refuel, so I'm not going to kind of rehash all my points from back then, but that's all it really is. And obviously, once demand picks up and we reach kind of the blob target and we go into sustained price discovery, that's not necessarily something that we want to see, because it means that layer 2 fees go up. And what we want to see is essentially more blobs added to the network, which we're probably getting in Pectra here, but then scaling that up even further with PeerDAS and other things like that. And ideally, we don't really necessarily want to see blobs go into some kind of like insane price discovery where they get so expensive and all that cost is passed on to users at L2. What we want to see is a healthier fee market where essentially there is, I guess, like some predictive or more, I guess, reliable fees being paid. So blobs aren't free, but more reliable fees being paid, and then we make it up in volume. You know, we sell, the Ethereum network sells more and more blobs as time goes on, and it makes it up in volume. That's how it generates the fee revenue there, instead of trying to, I guess, like milk the existing blobs that we have and try to like milk it for some fees that we don't really need right now, in my opinion, because we're trying to scale this thing up to the world, right, as I discussed the other day. So yeah, anyway, you can go check out this chart for yourself. I'll link it in the YouTube description below for you to do so. All right, changing gears a little bit here, something from the zkSync ecosystem. So this was announced, I believe, yesterday, where on Twitter here, where they say Buenos Aires is the first city to issue decentralized IDs to its citizens. By integrating Quark ID into the MIBA platform, over 3.6 million Buenos Aires citizens now have control over their documents via blockchain and zk proofs, with zkSync Era serving as the settlement layer. I've been talking about like the zkID for so long now, and obviously it's taken a lot longer for it to, I guess, proliferate or get adoption than any of us would have liked, as things do tend to take longer than any of us would have liked. But we're now finally seeing this. I remember there was something similar with in Denver. I think there were some pilot programs there around this, but this, I believe, is going to be not just a pilot. It's actually going to be live. It's actually going to be something that Buenos Aires citizens have access to. And I think it's maybe worth rehashing why I'm so bullish on zkID. I mean, I'm sure you guys are well aware of just how much of our data is being constantly leaked absolutely everywhere, because basically everywhere requires, I guess, it's a form of KYC, where essentially they're like, well, we need to know who you are, we need to know your full name, your date of birth, your email address. In America, you need your social security number, we need maybe your street address, and yeah, okay, maybe we need your passport or driver's license to verify your identity. And hey, we're not going to delete all of this information once we're done with it. We're going to store it forever, and we're going to store it somewhere where it's not secure, and then it's going to get leaked, and then all your information is going to be out there, and you're going to get phished, and you're going to get scammed. You're going to get so many scam emails, scam letters, all that stuff out there. And then, eventually some people will lose money here. And it's just like such a bad solution, especially in the US, where they don't have very good data protection or data privacy laws. The EU is a lot better at this, but I mean, still not perfect, obviously. And that's where something like a zkID comes in, where essentially you use the magic of zk to essentially prove to whoever you need to that you are who you say you are, without having to give them any information. You literally just give them a zk proof, and you say, hey, okay, I am who I say I am. Here's the proof of that. And that proof is matched with a central registry, but it's just the proof. The information is not in that registry. Your private information, your personal data is not there. And we basically solve the issue of personal data leaking overnight. And obviously it's not a silver bullet. There's still going to be the matter of getting this adopted, getting people onboarded, making sure there's not other ways they can leak their information. and making sure these things are integrated correctly. But that's why I've been so bullish on it, because it is uniquely enabled by ZK Tech and also uniquely enabled by blockchains, because of the fact that you want to have like a, I guess, neutral settlement layer to put this on, and something that everyone can view, but they're not viewing your personal information. They're viewing a ZK proof. And it's very, there's something similar that was done by Coinbase, essentially, where essentially they're not, I don't know what kind of like tech they're using under the hood. I don't know if they were using ZK proofs for this, but essentially what they were doing is that they were using the Ethereum Attestation Service, or EAS, to essentially attest that you are who you say you are. Because obviously, if you've got a Coinbase account, they've done KYC on you, and they were offering like perks for verifying yourself, such as like free transactions on Base. So essentially, what you would do is you would basically go to Coinbase, tell them, hey, this is my Ethereum address. Can you attest that this is my Ethereum address, and so I can get these perks? And then Coinbase would do that because they're like, well, we already know who you are, so we're going to attest and we're going to put this on chain, but no one's going to know anything about it. This is just like a random string of characters to people that see this on chain, but we know as Coinbase that you are who you say you are. This is your address, it's tied to you, and we're going to give you the perks because of that. So no information was leaked, even though it is on a public ledger. So that is like the holy grail here, guys. And I actually made a comment the other day on Twitter in reply to Tim Byko, who asked, what more should we be focusing on as an ecosystem in Ethereum? And I said privacy, right? Like privacy has taken a massive hit, obviously, because of the fact that the Tornado Cash got sanctioned by OFAC. A lot of the, I guess, war against crypto is definitely focusing on privacy as well. And obviously, the Tornado Cash developers were arrested and are facing trial right now, or going through a trial right now. Yeah, I mean, I think that privacy is still like the biggest thing outside of scalability that we need to focus on within not just the Ethereum ecosystem, but all of crypto. Because without privacy, we're not going to get much more adoption than this, I think. I think that without privacy, none of the serious institutions are going to want to build anything durable on this technology. Without privacy, we're not going to be able to do things like expanding the attestation stuff, essentially, where essentially, you know, it's cool that Coinbase is doing it, but we would like to expand that and scale that up to testing to everything. But we want to do that in a privacy preserving way. So the holy grail would be to have things like zkIDs that are used to identify yourself, but you still have and retain all of your own data. And then having attestations posted on chain as well of these things, and then being able to kind of like interoperate with all of that information on all these different apps. Imagine being able to go out and basically, I mean, this is probably far into the future, but imagine being able to go out to lenders and basically say, hey, here's my on-chain credit score, essentially. But I'm not going to tell you what my kind of like score is. I'm not going to tell you my history or anything like that. I'm not going to give you any personal information, but I have a proof that I am a worthy borrower, essentially. So as I said, probably something far into the future from where we are today, but that stuff is really just, I guess, like possible when you have ZK, which enables privacy, of course, but you have like native on-chain privacy, and you have things like what zkSync has done here, integrated more widely here. So if you want to learn more about zkSync's solution, they're doing a Twitter space, which I'll link in the YouTube description below. This is going to happen in a couple of days from now on October 25th. So you can go check that out for yourself. As I said, I'll link it, and there's also more information here as well as a full blog post on how this all works under the hood. But as I said, I'm super excited to see something like this live. It's something that I've been talking about for a while, and yeah, everything in crypto takes way longer than we think it's going to take, especially in Ethereum, but eventually we get there. I think that's the trend that we've seen over the last few years, of course. Another new product launch that came out, I think a few days ago now, that I was meant to cover kind of last week, but I forgot to, is something from Gravita and NodeSet here, which is built on top of Rocket Pool. So essentially what this is a new way to stake your ETH with a new LST called XRETH, and you can also stake your RPL tokens and get an LST for RPL called XRPL. So essentially the problem that they've identified here is that Rocket Pool's growth has been limited by the need for node operators to lock up significant collateral. This has led to asset concentration and bottlenecks in staking expansion, and the Constellation upgrade that's part of Rocket Pool here solves this by tokenizing node operator bonds through XRETH and XRPL. So the solution is that with Constellation, external investors can now participate in node bonding by minting XRETH and XRPL. This opens the door for more validators, decentralized staking, and greater efficiency across the Rocket Pool ecosystem. So the cool thing about this is that NodeSet actually has a bunch of node operators that have signed up but essentially just waiting for people to put ETH in and to spin up validators and run those validators for you. And you can actually see on their website here that if you want to become a node operator, you can. If you want to just essentially stake your ETH, you can. You just click I need decentralization, and it comes up with with a pop-up here that you can't see on my screen there. But the reason why I think this is really cool, and I actually spoke to the team about this, is there's this, I guess, like, I wouldn't call it a big problem, but there's this kind of thing going on within the Ethereum staking ecosystem right now where we have different staking solutions that are coming out, like different LSTs, different LRTs, and they have their own node operator set. But typically this node operator set will be the same as other LSTs. They'll be like, not exactly the same, but they'll be the same kind of entities staking on Lido, staking on EtherFi, staking on Puffer, staking on the other LST projects out there, and essentially that doesn't really add anything to decentralization of the network, right? Because if it's the same entity, then we're not adding any more decentralization or any more, I guess, like any more security to the network. Really, economic security maybe, but at the same time, if all of that ETH is just getting funneled into the same people, then each I guess like ETH that we're adding is really not adding much economic security at this point in time. And that's where NodeSet comes in, where they say, well, basically, we're going to leverage Rocket Pool's existing infrastructure here, which is the most decentralized LST and has the most node operators by far, and essentially incentivize more node operators to join and essentially curate them so that we're not just having the same node operators across all of the different LST projects or LRT projects out there, because it's kind of useless. I mean, it's not useless, but like it's kind of redundant, right? So the goal should be to onboard more node operators. The goal should be to onboard different node operators, and it should be to onboard node operators in different locations or locations where we don't have a strong concentration of them. And I think that's exactly what NodeSet, Gravita, and Rocket Pool are obviously trying to do here. And this really is just the beginning of what they're doing. There is, like, as I said, you guys can go check this out for yourself, but there is so many things that they've got coming. Rocket Pool itself is undergoing a pretty massive kind of, I guess you could call it resurgence right now with the upgrades that they've got going live and the things that they're working on. I believe Jasper was teasing a tweet thread that he was going to put out today, so I'm definitely looking out for that, and we'll probably cover it on the next refuel. But yeah, now that we've got like Ethereum staking to a really nice spot in terms of the infrastructure's there, withdrawals are enabled, obviously the merge is done, and we're in like the maturation state. What we need to make sure of is that it doesn't concentrate, it doesn't centralize from here. And we've obviously done a lot of work with that by essentially making the community aware of Lido and making sure that Lido isn't over 33% market share and no other protocol gets to that. But at the same time, we need to improve the node operator set. We need to get more node operators online, and we need to incentivize them to be online. And this is one way to do that. So you can go check this out for yourself. I'll link it in the YouTube description below for you to do so. All right, last up here is just a reminder that I'll be speaking at the Bankless Summit, which is taking place one day after DevCon on November 17th, 16th, I believe. I get confused with the dates because I haven't actually looked at the dates yet. I have so many invites to events just coming my way, and I'm trying to organize my calendar right now. But on November 16th, yeah. And the reason why I'm giving a shout out here is because, as you guys know, I'm speaking at this event. I believe I'm going to be the first speaker. And just to give you guys a little bit of a teaser about what I'm speaking about, my talk is probably going to be titled A Journey Through the Infinite Garden That Is Ethereum. What I'm going to do and what my aim is to basically take the audience through a journey of where Ethereum has come from, where it is today, and where it's going in the future. I'm going to channel as much bullish energy as I can for this talk. I've only got, I believe, 30 minutes, but I'm going to try my hardest to paint a really clear picture of what I believe Ethereum is headed towards. And I do obviously want to give the context of the past and kind of like realign around the future before giving realign around the present before giving my thoughts on what I think is going to play out in the future there. But you can go get your tickets if you're going to be in Bangkok for DevCon. I'll link the YouTube description I'll link it in the YouTube description below for you to do so there. I hope to see a lot of you there. I hope to see a packed audience at the Bankless Summit because, as I said, it's not just me speaking there. There are a ton of speakers. I mean, if you go to this link here for the tickets, you'll actually be able to see the speakers here. There are people like Shriram from Eigenlayer, Justin Drake. You guys all know here. And then the speakers are actually quite varied. So obviously Shriram and Justin are pretty core Ethereum, but then you've got Eric Wall, who he spends a lot of time in the Bitcoin ecosystem, and you've got Peter Van Valkenburg, who spends a lot of time on the regulatory side of crypto, isn't really inside one ecosystem. And then you've got like everyone's favorite controversial voice in the Ethereum ecosystem, Amin Soleimani here, who you all probably know and know very well. He is very active on Twitter. But yeah, as I said, like very diverse set of speakers here, and I can't wait to go to this event and to speak at this event myself. Now, I did say to you guys that I had something I wanted to talk about at the end here with regards to sentiment throughout the crypto ecosystem. So it's kind of funny because I was talking about this in the Daily Gwei Discord channel just before, where I said that negative sentiment is just as contagious as positive sentiment. And I want to expand on this. Essentially, a lot of you guys will have been around in 2021, probably not earlier than that for most of you, I think, from what I can tell, but 2021, where the whole market was just going absolutely crazy, right? And everyone was like making money on paper, everything felt good, ETH was going up, ETH was rocketing, all your other bags were rocketing, and all this new money was coming in, all this stuff was happening, it was so hard to keep track of, and everyone on crypto Twitter was happy, and that positive sentiment was extremely contagious, right? For better or worse, it was extremely contagious. It was very hard to be negative, very hard to be bearish. But then you flip the switch over the last, I guess, couple of years where it's been more so like last year and maybe this year somewhat, where it's been relatively bearish and sideways, right? Like it's kind of funny that the sentiment is so negative right now, even though Bitcoin is basically almost at all-time high. I know ETH has basically been lagging a bit here, but honestly, it's not doing that bad considering it went to like almost $800 at the bottom of the bear market. Now it's at like 2,600. But the thing is like most of the other assets are still down like 80-90% from their all-time highs as well. So I understand like that side of things, but the negative sentiment and the reason why I think there's so much of it is because, as I said, it's just as contagious as the positive sentiment. So let's walk through like an average crypto participant's day. Well, they probably log into crypto Twitter the first thing in the morning, right? They probably check the prices actually before they do that. They go on their phone, they check the prices, CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, TradingView, whatever you use to check the prices. And if the price is going sideways or if it's down, you're probably going to be like, damn, like that makes me feel shit. Like that's not good. That's not fun. Another shitty day in the market. So you've already started your day off shit. Like if that's what you're doing, if you're literally waking up and checking the prices, as I mentioned a few months ago before I took my break, this is something that I used to do and it wasn't fun, right? I didn't even know why I did it. It was like kind of a habit that I had. But anyway, say you start off your day like that and then you get out of bed and maybe you sit on your phone, your laptop, your computer, whatever it is, and you scroll through Twitter. And then everyone on Twitter is just being negative. They're like, oh my God, another dump. Oh my God, we're still going sideways. Oh, stocks are raging and crypto's doing nothing, right? And you're reading all of this negative sentiment when, keep in mind, you just woke up and checked the prices and put yourself into a bad mood. So you've now amplified that bad mood with the negative sentiment on Twitter, right? So then from Twitter, maybe you go somewhere else. Maybe you go on like Discord or something like that. Maybe you talk to some friends and maybe they're echoing the same kind of negative sentiment because they've done the exact same thing that you have done. They've checked the prices, they've gone on Twitter, they've gone elsewhere and just seen negative sentiment everywhere. So what this does is it just causes a fucking feedback loop of negative sentiment. And pardon my language there, but like it's so insane that this kind of happens pretty much like every day within the industry. It's like a groundhog day of just like negative sentiment during these times where essentially you're only feeling shit and you're only feeling negative about things because other people are. But the hilarious thing about this is that they're only feeling that way because of other people. And the thing is that it all traces back to the price action, because if your moods are dictated by what the price of an asset that you're holding is doing on any given day, then you're checking that at the beginning of the day, you're starting your day off in the worst way possible, and then you're just feeding on that, and it just becomes this cycle, this kind of like never-ending, as I said, groundhog day cycle of negative sentiment that feeds into everything. So that's why you see like everyone, well not everyone, but like it seems like everyone on crypto Twitter being like really bearish on Ethereum, saying Ethereum is dead, ETH is dead, ETH is a shit coin, such and such is going to kill ETH, blah, blah, blah. You're seeing all of that just because of the price, just because the price is going sideways. It's not even really doing anything other than that. I mean, if you actually look at the last couple of months especially, it's really just been going kind of sideways here. And I think that drives people crazier than it going down, to be honest, because obviously like every pump gets sold down, and then every time you have hope that it's going to go up again, it goes down again, and it just kind of does this ping pong thing, right? But that's all it is at the end of the day. And I've explained this before on the Refuel plenty of times, where sentiment follows price. But like negative sentiment is just so contagious. I think much more contagious than positive sentiment. And it just lasts for so much longer than you think it will, and it just feeds off of everything, that it can literally convince you of things that aren't even true. Like, there are people convinced that Ethereum is dying when you have BlackRock, PayPal, Visa, Stripe, all these major companies building on top of it. And that's just one thing. You have the layer 2s hitting new user base all-time highs, new activity all-time highs every other day. You have ETH L1 still being heavily used. You have blobs basically successfully scaling Ethereum. You have all these developments happening around Ethereum. You have the Ethereum staking ecosystem still growing all the time, restaking still growing, like all these things just happening, right? But if all you did was sit on crypto Twitter, if all you did was consume this negative kind of sentiment, it kind of tricks your brain into thinking that, well, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Ethereum is dying. Maybe Ethereum is failing, when it's not at all. Like, there's nothing wrong with Ethereum. The price is the price. The price is doing shitty things. The market ebbs and flows. Like, I understand that. And I think that for a lot of people, they look at the price not just against USD, of course, but against like Bitcoin and against other like L1 tokens and like Solana, for example. And I'm like, oh my God, like Solana's going up against ETH and ETH going down against BTC. What the hell is wrong with ETH? What the hell is wrong with Ethereum? When I don't think anything's wrong with it. Like, was anything wrong with Bitcoin when ETH was going up against it? No, it doesn't seem like it. Bitcoin's doing just fine in terms of what it's trying to do, which is go up in value, essentially, the BTC go up in value, right? So there needs to be a kind of, I guess, like deep thought put into this if you're getting your kind of, I guess, like a feed from Twitter, if you're getting fed from Twitter all the time, is that you need to actually just take a step back and realize that that's not real. That's all kind of made up. It's all just feeding on of itself in a negative spiral of people just like feeding off of each other's negative sentiment that leads them to the wrong conclusions. So if there was something wrong with like Ethereum, or if there was something wrong with ETH as an asset, like, I would be the first to say it. I would be the first to notice it, given that I'm so close to the ecosystem. But I'm not seeing anything wrong. Like, I understand the bear cases people have. Or, you know, Ethereum's fee revenue has gone down, or Ethereum L2s have fragmentation. I understand that, but from my perspective, I take a little bit of a longer term look here than like a week or a month, and I say, well, I believe that fragmentation of liquidity will be solved, and I believe that it's not even a big deal to begin with, because any user that I speak to doesn't really complain about it. They're like, well, yeah, I just go on Arbitrum or I go on Base, I just bridge if I have to, it takes like 2 seconds, and all is well. And then when it comes to like the fee revenue, well, as I've said before on the Refuel, guys, like, we haven't even onboarded like millions of monthly active users yet, let alone the billions that we're trying to bring on chain here. So why are we worried about value accrual right now? Why are we worried about fee revenue? We should be worried about onboarding as many people as possible, and that means getting Ethereum scaled as much as possible, which is what we're doing with blobs. We delivered blobs. They're working perfectly to scale the L2s. The L2s are working perfectly, and that's just the L2s that are live today, not to mention all the other L2s that are coming live. The ones that I'm particularly paying attention to, and I should disclose that I'm an investor in both of them, but I'm pretty much an investor in all the L2s because I'm so bullish on them. But Mega ETH and Eclipse, they're two massive L2s, especially Mega ETH, which is EVM based, Eclipse is SVM based, but they're pushing the limit of what's possible at L2. They're trying to essentially do like 100,000 TPS plus. They're really trying to push these things to the limit, and they have repeatedly said that what they're doing is only possible because they're building as a layer 2 and not a layer 1. So there is just so much exciting stuff happening, and honestly, if all you did was listen to maybe the Refuel, you would probably feel a lot different about the ecosystem than if you were to sit on Twitter, sit on Discord, and just feed off this negative energy. And I see it play out all the time. I'm affected by it as well. This is one thing I actually wanted to hit on that I'm glad I remembered, because I didn't want to forget to hit on this. People may think I'm immune to this sort of stuff. They may think I'm immune to the negative sentiment. They may think I'm immune to all of the, I guess, like shit talking that happens about Ethereum and ETH on Twitter. I'm not, guys. Like, I'm not at all. I feel the same way about it as you do. But I have strategies to like reorient myself around the longer term stuff here and not get bogged down in this sorts of stuff. Like I try my hardest not to. It does get to me sometimes. It gets to me so much sometimes that I literally have to just step away from things and try not to kind of look at anything, because as I said, it's just so much crap. It's so much bullshit. It's not worth consuming. It's not worth your time. What is worth your time is if you want to be involved and deeply involved with the crypto ecosystem, especially with Ethereum, just pay attention to things outside of social media. Don't sit on crypto Twitter all the time. Don't even sit on like the crypto Reddit sections. Don't sit in the Daily Gwei Discord prices channel, which is just so bad. I muted that channel ages ago because honestly, like sometimes I check it just for moderation purposes and I read through it and I'm like, holy shit, like these guys have been talking about the same things for months now. Like why? I'm no offense to anyone who spends time in there. Like thank you for being active in the Discord channel, but like I read through it and I'm like, it's the same shit that was being said months ago. Like why are you guys still talking about this? And I get that it's maybe a form of therapy for people. They want to like talk to each other about it and like and essentially like bounce ideas off each other. But again, it tends to kind of put you into this like feedback loop of sentiment, feeding on sentiment, and it goes both ways. So yeah, if you just want to like stick with the tech and stick with what's happening and have a more kind of like longer term mind, go watch Bankless stuff. Go, listen to the refill, which you do. Go read research papers. Go read documentation of your favorite kind of protocols. They have a lot of docs out there. Go use them. Do that sort of stuff. Don't sit on crypto Twitter all day and read through the doom posting. Like, and obviously it's not just crypto stuff that's on Twitter. It's all the other stuff too. Like I don't know about you guys, but my For You feed, no matter how many times I try to tune it, is so bad. Like I just get pushed all this political stuff into my feed. I hate it because I just don't want to deal with politics, especially not when I'm on my computer trying to focus on Ethereum. I don't want to deal with that sort of stuff. I'm just pushed random videos of like, I don't know, just like clickbait engagement videos. And then Elon Musk is always in my feed with his crap. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's just an overload of stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm going to try and tune it, which I try to do, but also try and spend less time there because it's just not healthy. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think we as humans are built for that stuff. But anyway, I've rambled long enough here, ranted long enough here, but I thought it was important to talk about that stuff. I think the key takeaway from that, the two key takeaways from that whole thing is one, just be aware of these kind of like negative feedback loops that you can find yourself in. And two, be aware that everyone's affected by this, even me, like in a big way, to be honest, at times. But you got to have strategies for dealing with this. You got to make sure that you zoom out and know that a lot of it is not reality. It's just fake. And a lot of it isn't even real people. Like it's bots. Like let's be honest here, pushing this kind of sentiment. And when it's money involved, when it's different incentives involved for different things can get very murky there as well. But I think on that note, that's going to be it for today. So thank everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all next time. Thanks everyone.